Hi everybody, welcome to the Retune YouTube channel. My name's Tom Ryder, I am the founder of Retune, and I'm here today with Natasha Devon MBE, who has recently authored this book, A Beginner's Guide to Being Mental and A to Z, and we're going to have a little chat about that. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We should definitely talk about young people.
Yeah.
I know you've been very involved with visiting schools, as have I actually, and in 2017 I visited some schools and they wanted to talk about the schools on the curriculum, wanted you to talk about cyberbullying, online safety, and then I was a bit more adventurous and went for pressures as a third option because they didn't actually want to talk about mental health. Explicitly. A year down the line, let's talk about mental health. Can you talk about mental health? And in a year, this big switch kind of happened. I mean, what do you think triggered that, and do you think that's about time, really?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things. First of all, that changes to the education system that began in 2010, but we've really begun to see them play out on the ground over the past couple of years, have really battered young people's mental health. So the narrowing of the curriculum, the fact that it's much more exam focused, they start revising or they start studying for their GCSEs a year earlier than they did before. There's more exams, everything's just more fraught and pressured, and that has meant that there's been a big rise in mental health issues. But secondly, I think there's just, young people are cool with it, like in a way that their parents wouldn't necessarily be, because they know that mental health is not innately a scary thing. It's just part of life, and that is definitely something to be celebrated.
I find that their classmates, if they don't feel supported by teachers or parents, their sort of camaraderie with classmates is absolutely amazing. We had people come and talk to us. We had a girl come and talk to us about her self-harm, and there's 4 of her mates surrounding her, backing her up, and that could be a new thing that might not have happened previously because it would have been kind of shied away from, perhaps. Young people is one thing. I just mentioned an example of a girl. Girls can be quite chatty, quite open about their feelings. Boys, perhaps not so much, maybe a little bit more now, but there does remain a big statistic about male suicide, which is the primary killer of young men, essentially. So where do you think we are with having the conversation among men versus this kind of machismo, and where are we now, and where should we be going with it?
Well, I'm actually a member of an organisation called the Men and Boys Coalition, and it's a group of activists, journalists and educators who want to reduce the male suicide rates. The rule is you're not allowed to become a member of the organisation if you're anti-women or anti-feminist. So it's
trying to not be something else.
It's very balanced. But I have probably spent about a year researching what do young men need, because my observation was that they were flying under the radar. Still, even though suicide is the biggest killer of young men, the counter argument you get to that is, well, that they're young, what else is going to kill them? That's what I was bumping up against.
Right.
So I was looking at it thinking, okay, well, the danger zone for men taking their own life is retirement age, which makes sense because if your job is your purpose, and purpose being a key psychological human need, that taken away. But 90% of suicides happen as a direct result of untreated addiction or depression. And the average onset age for depression is 14. So the problems that led those guys to crisis point probably began when they were at school. So I'm thinking, why aren't we noticing this? And my first step to answering that question was to actually talk to some boys and some young men, because I got really sick of being told what it was like to be a woman, like having things mansplained to me. So I thought, I don't want to womansplain. So I just did some focus groups, and what came out of that was really interesting. So a couple of things. First of all, they were saying, the young men I was talking to said that they felt that not talking was kind of an older man problem, and that they were much more open. It's just that they didn't necessarily talk using the same language or in the same environments as girls.
Right.
And they also said that they didn't necessarily have to talk in order to feel emotionally supported. So they were saying things like sports clubs, gyms, band practice, even just outlet, like hanging out playing computer games, had a therapeutic impact for them.